Howdy, guys. My name is Attorney Walter, if not the third. We're going to be doing what we usually do here, which is go ahead and run hearing questions, but we have to give a little bit of time for people to go ahead and, yep, people are already yelling at me. That's good. All right, good. So we have to give a little bit of time for people to go ahead and log into the channel. So in the meantime, while I'm doing that, let me go ahead and talk about some of the things that are behind me right here. This company right here is a company I've been working for a total of 8 years. A total of 8 years I've owned that company, and I used to work for other attorneys in that field, going all the way back 15 years. Now, the other company I want to point out real quick is spaceconstitution.com. Spaceconstitution.com is literally about to finally release its visual trailer. It's being converted over to a 501c3. The whole point of it is to create an open source constitution for people to write down ideas for how people going into space or even on Earth should have certain rights and or freedoms. For example, an individual that leaves Earth going to another planet or space station or whatever should have within 5 generations going back through their bloodline and going forward rather, the opportunity to go back to their original Earth host country as their birthright and claim citizenship to that country. So somebody goes to space, they should be able to claim citizenship back to that country. Howdy, guys. Yes, howdy, guys. Good to see you. Howdy. What I'm going to do, I got to put in the typey thing here. Howdy. What I'm going to do is, now, I tried to upload a video about what Biden plans, President Biden, for Social Security disability benefits. It was so massive. It was like, 10 gigabytes in size that I had to cancel it because it was just too big to upload with all this stuff going on and me also doing these messages. So I'm going to put the phone number up there. It's going to take us a few minutes to get some more people in here, but I'm going to put the phone number up there for right now if you want to call in for me to run hearing questions with you. In that meantime, between now and then, I'm going to run through with you guys specifically what Biden wants to do for the military, right? Yes, they've made a new Space Force for the military. What's happening is basically Space Force is now overseeing a lot of other divisions like the Air Force and things like that. They just named what those individuals are going to be called. They're going to be called Guardians, who are basically soldiers of Space Force. It's really cool because we need to go into space to have control over that aspect, because for military purposes, if we don't have control over the space around Earth and even outside of the area directly around Earth, then, basically our really big toys, kind of like our aircraft carriers and all of our other stuff, becomes kind of a moot toy because essentially any satellite from space could take out a giant mega billion-dollar aircraft carrier. So it's really important that we have Space Force. I'm really glad to see it start taking off. Space Constitution is all about creating the rights for future people. Open source constitution. Anybody can write anything they want there. It's about creating the rights for future people as to what rights, freedoms, etc. you think people should have when going essentially to space, or, essentially what you think you should have in this country and other places on this earth. So let me go right into this real quick. We're going to be going into, howdy, guys, howdy. We're going to be going into specifically what Biden wants to do and how President Biden is going to be changing Social Security disability benefits. I read through his entire thing, made a bunch of notes. We're going to be covering a small section, and I'll be covering that small section while I'm essentially basically, here we go, 47279-1754, putting that up. Let's see, 47279-1754. While I'm putting that up so that basically at some point, if anybody wants to call in for me to run questions with them, we can do that. All right. President Biden is going to change in a very, very big way what essentially happens with Social Security disability benefits. And I got to say, I haven't been a really big fan of Biden during the Obama years. And now, he's doing some things that are really angering some people. But aside from that, what he plans for Social Security disability benefits is actually really, really good. It's right on. And I've been kind of critical of him, but I got to tell you, this stuff is right on where it needs to be. After this whole session, I'll upload a video. It was too massive to upload before. It started 3 hours ago uploading, so that kind of tells you how big it was. Yes, it's massively in your favor for those people applying to be found disabled, for those people who are currently disabled, for those people who are about to get kicked off of benefits, for those people who have already been kicked off of benefits. It's a complete circle of it's going to be really good for you guys. All right, so let's go through the basics of it. All right, now remember, I'm going by the information that he originally placed on his, I want to be president website. So this is kind of like, his plan, his thing. And it was one of the biggest things that was on there. It's called the Biden Plan for Full Participation and Equality for People with Disabilities, right? So let's now go to, I don't know if it's the 28th thing, but to me, like, I was tired. It was 2 a.m. and I was reading through it. But Biden basically put in here as like the 28th thing, the stuff that's relevant to what you guys want to know about. Here it is. Specifically, if you want to do a quick search function where you do like control find or command find or whatever, you're going to look for this wording: protect and strengthen economic security for people with disabilities. I'm not going to read through all the fluff because it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell you exactly the parts that actually matter. 28.1. He's going to increase, this is the first bullet point, he's going to increase the benefit level for people receiving SSI. He's going to increase the benefit level for people receiving SSI. Now, what does that mean? He's going to increase the level. Looks like I just missed a call. Have to try and get that a little bit later. But what does that mean? He said Biden will set a federal benefit rate of at least 100% of the poverty level. That means that President Biden is going to up the SSI amount, right? And it's actually going to be a little bit of a chunk. I haven't done the calculations yet. But what's important about this is, so we were accustomed to $783. $783 was essentially the amount for SSI in 2020. Now they're going to be bumping it up to $794. And that's a big bump. That's a big bump. But what Biden is saying is that's not enough. He wants to raise SSI significantly more. And I want to tell you a little bit about that. Yeah, I'll go into SSDI next. It's literally the next one on there. And I want to go a little bit into that. The reason why is if you look at $800, most one-room trailers are anywhere from 5, like trailer park trailers are one room are anywhere from basically $500 to $700 a month. So that wipes out the lion's share, just the rent of essentially what they would potentially get on SSI, which is why most people on SSI have to rent a single room trailer with 2 people on SSI, or they go into one of those motel hotel programs where a mega company, a billionaire company, buys them out, sets them up, rents them a room in the motel hotel, and then basically at that point they take a percentage of whatever benefits they get. It could be a third for the room, third of the SSI benefits, or a 2/3 situation. All right, so let's go over to the next thing. So that's really good. He's going to raise, not just based upon COLA, well, I guess this is, but not just based on cost of living adjustment to $794. He's going to raise it even significantly more from there, which is really, really amazing. Let's talk about the next thing. He's going to eliminate the 5-month waiting period for SSDI. All right, so let's talk about that real quick. So let's say you file here and you're found disabled here. Between your initial filing and when basically you're found disabled, that's called your back pay. Well, as everybody knows, for SSDI benefits, you don't count the first 5 months for back pay or the month you're found disabled. That's 6 total months that you don't get to collect back pay benefits. He's going to get rid of that 5-month limitation. Now, a lot of you guys are probably wondering, if SSI, you don't count the first month and the last month, then why does SSDI, you don't count the first 5 months and the last month? That's because back in the day, it took the SSA around 5 months to contact the IRS and have the IRS get back to them with what's called the detailed earnings query, the summary earnings query, the certified earnings query, the new higher earnings query, etc. The documents that show us what your earnings were, where you were earning them, what quarter they happened and all that stuff. But now a lot of that stuff is automated. So it doesn't really take them 5 months to be able to calculate that stuff. You have to then wonder as well, if it's been automated for a while, why does the IRS, why does the SSA still use this 5-month rule and 1-month rule, right? It's because if they don't have to pay you for 5 months, so let's say the average person right now, let's get a calculator out, let's do some math with it, we'll do some basic math. Let's say that somebody who's applying for SSDI benefits, right? Let's do the average amount. So the average amount they could get per month is $1,200. I know a lot of people way above that. I know a lot of people way below that. But let's say we take $1,200, right, times essentially 5 months. So we take $1,200 times 5 months. That equals $6,000. $6,000 that the SSA was not giving to the claimants because it took them longer to calculate what your IRS earnings were, even though now, and it has been for many years, it's much more hyper automated. That's a lot of back pay. That's a lot of back pay. And the attorneys then, and here's the best part. Here's the best part. That is a rule that makes smaller guys like me who push claims through faster, get more benefit, because here's the kicker. The way it used to be is if an attorney would sign up a claim and win it in no time at all, there'd be no back pay to pay the attorney. So what we all did was we put an $1,800 little like provision in our contract that says if there's no back pay available, then you agree to pay us $1,800, yada, yada, yada. And then the SSA would get a fee petition and they'd agree or reduce, based upon what they believe would be fair. But now with that gone, we're not going to have to use that provision because it's going to give emphasis for attorneys to push and get people found disabled faster. Now, is that going to change the culture of the mega firms, the mega big box firms? It's not. It's not going to change the culture of those mega big box firms because they're doing the thing that they do, and they're not looking for the $1,200, $300 check or $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 checks. They're just not looking for that. They don't care. That's not what they're looking for. What they want is the $6,000 check, which is probably going to get raised because it hasn't been raised in forever as to what their limit can be. Now, I want to go to the next thing. Eliminate the 5-month waiting period for SSDI, which we just talked about, and 2-year waiting period for Medicare. All right, so one of the rules that I've never really liked, and I understand why they did it, and I get it. I get it. But they would make you wait 24 months from the moment you're found disabled. So let's say you file here, right? And you renegotiate to have your alleged onset date here, farther back in time. So 6 months prior, right? You'd have to wait 24 months from that moment to get Medicare. So if you were found disabled in 12 months, you'd still have to wait you still have to wait a chunk of time to get Medicare. Now that used to not be a big deal because back in the day, these claims took 3-4 years to be adjudicated, right? Every claim that was won was a 6K claim. Every claim, the person, somewhere in there, they got on the Medicare right away. It wasn't a big deal. But now with a lot of the competing attorneys against the mega, the classic cowboy hat type of firms out there that have been doing this thing forever. Well, now there's competing attorneys, and these competing attorneys are winning claims a lot faster and more often, which means that now you've got a situation, okay, where basically a person could be found disabled 5 months, 6 months, 10 months, 12 months, 13 months, whatever. It could be 15 months, which means that if they're found disabled in that time, guess what? They don't get to go onto Medicare as an SSDI person. So what the problem with that is that, all right, now they have to fill the gap. So let's say they're found disabled after 12 months. And let's say their protective filing date was, their alleged onset date. So 12 months from when they filed, they're found disabled. They still have to wait another 12 months under this rule to get on Medicare. Does that make any sense at all? No. They should automatically be going for SSDI onto Medicare. There shouldn't be a wait period. It's just not a good idea. It's just not a fair system. And what does that person then have to do? They then got to use their back pay to buy private health insurance or marketplace insurance. So, yada, 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 so on and so forth. I don't know if Cheyenne is here. I haven't talked to her too much today, but I've just been working the whole day. That's kind of my big thing is I wake up, I work, I fall asleep, I work. But that's, anyways. All right, so let's talk about the next one. We will have to see my hearing coming up after 2.5 years, almost February 24th. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's good. So basically, he's not going to change the rule by then, but over the next year, 2 years, yada, yada, yada. But at 2.5 years, you're good. If you get found disabled for SSDI, you're going to get Medicare automatically because you're over the 24-month period. Okay, so yeah, please let me know how it goes. The next thing I want to go through, 28, part 3, eliminate the benefit cliff. All right. As you know, and this is not just SSDI, this is not just SSI, this is not just disabled adult child or OX benefits or any of that stuff. What this is, and look, I don't care if you like Biden or hate him, you guys already know politically I'm not a big fan of him, but the bottom line is he's doing a really good job with disability benefits. He's helping us out way more than I thought he was going to. Let me show you how with this one. Everybody, all right, do you guys know what a benefit cliff is? It's basically where if you earn too much, then you lose your benefits, right? So it's like if you hit this ceiling and you go slightly, you lose your benefits. So the point is we all know a lot of retired people who are working part-time on purpose. They can't go over a certain amount. We all know a lot of people on Social Security disability insurance who are afraid of earning SGA. or SSI, afraid of earning SGA, substantial gainful activity. You earn over that $1,300, guess what? You're not eligible for that month, and you're probably going to trigger a CDR, continuing disability review. Let me read what he wants to do. I'm going to walk you through it real quick. President Biden wants to earnings limits under SSDI can discourage people with disabilities from engaging in employment or internship opportunities when they depend on SSDI funds. Biden will increase this limit and phase out this benefit gradually so people with disabilities don't have to choose between employment and healthcare. Yes, that's a good thing. But let me explain to you why this is good. A lot of people are like, well, they could get a simple job, right? So, hey, they could just do a quick set. No, that's not what the point of this is. The point of this is so that they could get a complex job, so that they could essentially get a job that has skills to it, semi-skilled or skilled. Let me read it again. This is the important part. Earnings limits, right? That benefit cliff. You earn too much, you're off the disability benefit system. Earnings limits under SSDI can discourage people with disabilities from engaging in employment or internship, right there, or internship opportunities when they depend on SSDI funds. So I'm going to tell you a little secret about my background. When I did an internship way back in the day, I did 2 legal internships for 2 law firms. I was not paid for either of them. Now, when I hired on a bunch of people from my law school to go ahead and do internships, they were all paid. But when I did it back in the Stone Age, they weren't paid internships. So I want you to understand really quickly that was a huge hurdle I had to overcome. I had to use a lot of student loans to cover me, which is why part of the reason I have a large amount of student loans. Also, this color skin, and I'm a male, which doesn't help. But the bottom line is I had to use a lot of money to do my internships. It doesn't really work that way anymore. Pretty much most of the legal internships are paid. I mean, I pay law students now because, you can usually get a particular level of work out of them, but you got to watch them. You got to watch them. Holy cow. All right, so let's talk about that. If he's going to go ahead and I'm not saying he's going to remove them all quickly. He even says in here that he's going to gradually phase them out. But what he's going to do is he's going to start raising that SGA amount, that substantial gainful activity amount. He's going to start changing that whole trial work period to include more months so you can try out jobs, not just be stuck with the 7-month, 9-month option. He's going to start looking into increasing the length of period. I mean, he didn't write any of this down, but I'm just telling you what's going to happen. He's going to start increasing the trial, or rather the programs that they have, like Ticket to Work program, where that 5-year contract that you normally sign, and then after 5 years, you're kicked off of benefits. He's going to get rid of that. President Biden is going to go ahead and increase that 5 years out to maybe 7 years, maybe 10 years, maybe 15 years. Because let me point something out to you here that the Republicans can really get on with this idea. This is actually what's really sold me with this idea right here. If we have disabled people working, what are they doing? They're creating work product and they're earning more money, which means that they're feeding taxes into the system and society continues to build. So I don't know of any argument. I literally sat there when I was reading this, and I sat there for, 20, 30 minutes. I was in the tub. I was relaxing. But I sat there and I thought, is there anything at all as an argument as to why disabled people should not be working a little bit or in an internship to learn a skill or working even more? I mean, if they've got a handicap, we should give them benefits to get them to a more equal, equitable, and just stance, right? We should give them a hand up so that they can work more or do the work that they want to do or do the hours that they can. I couldn't think of a single argument against it. I sat there and I just mentally, I was, my head, I got all that stuff going on. I was just trying to figure out, well, this can't be right. And then I realized, I was like, my God, this makes no sense why we are not promoting disabled people to work. Would it not be better for them to continuously work and push forward the agenda of adding more work product that creates taxable income, that creates, and let's call it like it is, there's a lot of disabled people with skills. You know, once somebody becomes disabled, doesn't mean that they lose the mental capacity altogether to go ahead and do a high complex job. I know a lot of disabled people working in science related fields and math related fields and legal related fields. I know a lot of people doing that. So Biden in this case was really on point. And I got to tell you, as I went through this whole list of what he put down, I thought to myself, okay, we need to help this guy. We need to help President Biden figure out going forward what things are in line with this agenda. We can, and I started to realize as I was sitting there, who else other than somebody who goes to hearings all the time, interacts with the SSA all the time, and has claimants that deal with this stuff all the time, who else can make a giant bullet point list like he did, but much more in detail with more bullet points specific to the topics that would enhance this? And that's when I realized it was me. So in the future, I'm going to create a Biden update calendar. It'll be a presidential Biden upkeep calendar showing you when he achieves these different things and what happens as a result of them. Because remember, as we say here, we say this is a good idea. It could have negative things come up from it. It could have really good things that we didn't conceive. All right, let me check out these questions real quick, and then we'll go through here. Hold on. Okay, I have a question for you. I was wondering why you can't get unemployment while waiting for disability. You can get unemployment while waiting for disability. Some states have some restrictions, but you can get unemployment for disability. You can collect those functions. I don't know how much you're going to be collecting, whatchamacallit, but basically, and I think there's one state out there that still limits you. There's only one. It might be like a Minnesota or so. I forget what it is. But there's one state that limits you from getting your full employment. But unemployment usually, I think there's just one state that limits it, but unemployment usually does not affect your Social Security disability benefits, obtaining them or applying for them. Gotcha, Cookie, because you're telling us to say you can work, that's why. Well, no, see, that's the thing. Not anymore. And here's the kicker. They have withdrawn that limitation. So on the form, there's a little thing that says, are you ready and willing to work, right? And then about 14 years ago, that became a huge thing among all the disability attorneys as to whether or not the judges should consider. And so here's how the judges applied that. Judges would look at somebody going out to unemployment. They'd be like, well, obviously you stated that you are capable and willing to work, so therefore you're not disabled. And then that kind of evolved into judges saying, well, everybody's just trying to get their unemployment. And then they pretty much just got rid of the whole system of judging people for essentially, it was the early 2000s. That's when everybody was up in arms about that. I was there. I was an intern back then, but I was there. And I was in law school then. It's been a little while. So, but the bottom line was what happened to that whole situation was that the ALJs just stopped enforcing that. They stopped ordering the records for unemployment. They stopped pushing that. If they'd see it, they wouldn't use it as definitive evidence. Now, fast forward to today, it's been completely blown out of the water. They can't use it because of the COVID situation. Now, where we go after COVID, we go back to the same thing where they don't really use it or care about and things like that. It's just not an applicable thing. So that form of evidence is just not valid. In fact, I had a hearing the other day where the judge brought it up. And I said, well, Your Honor, I mean, they're trying to collect the benefits that which, yada, yada. And they agreed that, that was the wise step for them to do, considering they were becoming homeless had they not done that. Or they were going to become homeless. Okay, let's see what else is on here. It's okay, they pushed my biopsy money now. Okay, let's see. Okay, keep going. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so let me just see if there's any other questions. I'm going to go on to the next one. And let me put the phone number in. If anybody wants to run hearing questions with me, anybody at all wants to run hearing questions, give me a call and I'll run hearing questions with you. Okay, so let's see. I'm scrolling up. Let's see. Tennessee Strong. My DDS examiner quit and my case has been in recon since December 2019. That's not that long. I have an attorney and I also contacted my congressman today. Any advice? Well, I mean, you've only been in DDS recon. Oh, wait, 2019. Whoa, Tennessee. That was a long time. All right, I had that same situation happen a couple of times in 2020. The only way to get that dealt with is the following. Okay, so when you call up DDS and you press £0 and that gets you to the operator, what you're going to do is you're going to ask for the manager of that DDS rep that used to be there. You're going to collect that number. You're going to call them, usually leave a message. Then you're going to call back DDS again and ask for the manager of that manager. And you're going to do that until you get 3 managers up. Once you get to the 3rd manager, they have the ability to just grab, drag, and drop cases to whoever they want. And then what you're going to ask for is somebody who has senior level abilities, and they have DDS reps there that know what they're doing. And if you've waited that long, you might even be able to get the manager's manager to go ahead and finalize and finish the claim. But that's how you get it through. You just have to go up 3 levels, and then they'll basically go ahead and work on it. I forget what the extension is, but I don't think they'd be cool. I mean, I could look it up, but I don't think they'd be cool with me sharing it live like this. All right, let's see. Lovian Hunter. My 23-year-old daughter was declined SSDI. She has a blood clot in her left. Can you tell me why? Well, I mean, it depends. I mean, there's a couple of things here. So when you look at these blood clot claims, you know, has she had surgery? Does she have the option of surgery? Is this a situation where it's not that bad and, you know, they're looking at other types of remedies for her? Is this a situation where basically she's facing imminent death? Is this a situation where, you know, if it gets any bigger, it could be really, really bad? I mean, it all depends on the severity level. Now, remember, pretty much anybody between 18 and 50 at this point, and it's really becoming 55 the way everything's going, but 18 to 50 gets easy initial filing and recon denials, like super easy. And then I have to go to basically an ALJ hearing. Now, what I'm going to be doing is at some point taking a break to go ahead and put Sweetie in the room, because Sweetie is a female dog that likes to complain. There she is. So what I'm going to do real quick, guys, is I'm going to grab Sweetie. I'm going to put her in the room, and I will be right back. Sweetie, come here. Come here. Okay, guys, here we go. Now Shadow's upset because I put Sweetie away. All right, so here's what you need to know. Oh, I'm getting messages over here. Okay, so here's what you need to know. Let's go through this real quick, and that way we can go through the basics. So when you are 23 years old, automatically it's likely you don't fall into a CAL, compassion allowance listing, because most people in that age group don't have terminal illnesses. They're more of the rarity. Then you have to look at, okay, did they have enough time to, you know, have a severe impairment that meets, equals, or exceeds a listing? So the listing requirement-based limitations are kind of harder because they haven't had much time in their life to develop problems. This one, however, could be one of those. And what happens is you're basically down to the last 2 main options to be found disabled for somebody in that age group, which are grittings, which are out of the question because she's not old enough, and vocational allowances. So you're basically stuck with a vocational allowance. And most judges are very wary about essentially finding somebody disabled for a vocational allowance when they're that age, because usually there's some sort of surgery that they could undergo to go ahead and basically, you know, and always going to ER. Okay, let's see. I'm a carrier. And she got the class. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Hunter, let me say this. Send me some of the medical documentation. I'll put the email in there. Send me some of the medical documentation. I'll kind of walk you through what the listing requirements are, but more specifically, I'll walk you through essentially what they're looking for as evidence. Because remember, the listing level, that doesn't always exactly go into what types of evidence the judges are looking for, which is like the big gap. When I'm teaching like law students how to do this, it's like, you know, there's like, well, here's the statute and here's what they want. But that's not it. That's not actually true. The statute, the listing doesn't always have the evidence that they're looking for. Sometimes the evidence is a physical item or it's a particular thing. Sometimes it's different. But I'll walk you through that. Just shoot me an email there with the medical evidence. And I'll kind of go through it. Gotcha, Cookie Cat, Sandevil. A medical decision has been made working on the process. What does that mean? All right. So Sandoval. What that means. Oh, Cheyenne's here. Cool. What that means. Oh wait, let me answer Lily the Great. How long can the appeals take? Not big court, just going to ALJ. Now, when you say ALJ, do you mean appeals council? Because that would be AAJs, or do you mean a hearing for ALJ? Because if you're waiting for a hearing after reconsideration, it could be 9 to like 15 months, sometimes up to 18 months. But right now, it's faster because the ALJs are just sitting home all day clicking on their computer. No hearing. Do you mean like, no, it is the hearing? Do you mean like, no hearing, it's going to appeals council? People do that. They text me like that too. They're like, nah. I'm like, ah. Walk me through. All right. While you're doing that, send over. A medical decision has been made. Working on the process. What does that mean? Okay, hearing level. So yeah, you basically from your DDS denial, then you got to appeal it. So that takes a month, maybe a month and a half. You're looking at essentially 9 to 15 months there. Could go up to 18 months. Will likely not be shorter than 9 months. You are in the big waiting period, the longest one that you have to go through so far, unless you're that gentleman who basically had to wait over a year to get from DDS, to get out of DDS. Okay, so let's go through this. Sendoval, a medical decision has been made. Working on the process. What does that mean? All right, so you logged into your website, and your SSA website said medical decision has been made. Now, let me ask you this, Sendoval, is that at the initial filing level, the reconsideration level, the hearing level, the appeals council level? What level is that at? Because that's going to dictate what they're currently doing. Or someone else, I mean, how long to get to the hearing? So, I mean, okay, so Lily, if you're talking about like you just filed and you want to get to a hearing, you're looking at like the way things are with COVID right now, I'd say 5 months. I'd say 5 months and then plus another 12 months. That would be the middle ground for most of those things. So you're looking at like 10 plus 12. So you're looking at essentially 22 months. So just under, 2 years. Appeal under review. Yeah, but Sandoval, is that just had the hearing 2 weeks ago? All right. So we're talking about ALJ level. All right. So wait a minute. 2 weeks ago. All right. So that's pretty fast. That's usually going to be an approval or an extremely fast denial because they happen too. What that means is when the judge finishes a hearing, the judge writes down on their pad of paper, here's my notes. They hand it off to what's called an attorney advisor. The attorney advisor will then go ahead and take that information that they put down, and they will go ahead and write the brief in the fashion of what the ALJ wants. And let me simplify that. It means approval, not fully favorable, which is just partially favorable with moving the alleged onset date, and unfavorable. That's what it means. That's the direction that the judge is giving to the person. He is directing the attorney writer, the person who writes those briefs that you get back for after the hearing level, what to write. So in your case, it's going to be one of two situations. Either your claim was really, really bad, and it's just a quick, easy denial to get off the table, or it's really, really good, and it's a quick, easy approval, and they're just writing it to get it done. Now, I don't know if, Sandoval, I don't know if you have an attorney, but one thing you want to go look at is the last time in the ERE that they reviewed or touched the record. If your attorney can go ahead and look that up, that'll tell you a lot of information. If it was really recent, that means that they're working on it, clicking here, clicking there, stuff like that. If it was a while ago, that means they downloaded everything and you have to wait for them to touch it again to see what's going on. So that can tell you a little bit of information as to what's realistically going on with your claim. All right, let's see. But that's either going to be a really quick denial. And remember, it takes them usually around 10 days to, write an ALJ decision. It could take them longer, but, they have to write a bunch of them at once, and they'll sit there, they'll write a little, they'll write a not. Sometimes they can pop them out in 2 days, sometimes, yada, yada. But bottom line is, it could be a really quick approval or a really quick denial. I'd have to listen to the hearing audio, and then I'd be able to pretty much tell you right off the bat exactly what the judge is going to do, unless the judge was really hiding their hand. Okay. And Ricardo, how long is appeals counsel taking if you are luck to get remanded total time? All right, so that's an easy question. Appeals counsel for a remand swings. It swings about 12 months to about 14 months that I'm seeing right now. The big outside of that would maybe be about 10 months to 15 months. And then, of course, when you get remanded, it takes about 3 months for them to go ahead and schedule another hearing. And then that scheduled hearing is usually about a month to a month and a half away. Okay. Really great. Yeah, that's about right. Been 2.5 years for me. Yeah, that's about, and keep in mind, things got slowed down. Like if you applied in February of 2020, your claim got another 6 months added onto it. It just took that much longer because right when this whole COVID thing happened, if you filed in Feb of 2020, Everything just got dragged, and I mean dragged out. And there's no way around it because it's the government. And it's not, you can't kick the government hard because the government's a giant beast. It doesn't do anything. Still at first DDS level, 6 months so far. Well, yeah, I mean, that's what's going on right now. That's kind of the problem with this stuff, is that a lot of the filings at the initial level are stuck. Now, here's the thing. Initial filing is going slow. Reconsideration is going slow, but ALJ hearings are going faster. And let me explain why. The initial filing has to do with two groups, the local field office and the DDS reps. They're all mostly home, but a lot of the technology they use has been slowing them down. Also, they're not lawyers that have reached the level of judges. Like these judges are older versions of me. That's basically what they are. They're attorneys that were either practicing in this area or they're part of the government in some way, but years and decades down the line, they basically turn into judges. So these are consummate professionals. So what happened is you have basically the judges sitting in front of a computer without having to do this travel time and yada yada. They're able to read decisions, make decisions, do it quickly, and they're consummate professionals, so they're not going to slow down their thing because they're home. So the initial filing level is going slow. Reconsideration is going slow, but the ALJ hearing level is going much faster. Also, right now, if a claim is taking a bit longer at the initial filing level, that usually means that they have a good amount of medical documentation to go through, and they are leaning, like they have to send it off to MCPA, which is basically the medical the physician that reports to the DDS rep, whether or not this is a medical claim or not, like whether or not they're severely disabled or not. That usually means the claim is going in the right direction for being found disabled. So that's a good thing. I mean, that's if it continues to progress. There are some claims where they just sit at one of these spots, and then you have to go through a heck of a lot of this and that and yada yada. Okay, let's see. Does the ALJ have updated doctor's visits, say like 2 weeks before hearing, if lawyer already got medical records? Pretty much all the ALJs will have you do the hearing, and then they'll send you to, oh wait, does the ALJ have updated that? No. The ALJ is not going to have doctor visits 2 weeks before the hearing if the lawyer got the medical. It's almost, most lawyers will not obtain records 2 weeks before the hearing unless they are extremely relevant to the claim. The bottom line is they can apply for them. What I do, this is what I do. I like to shove as many medical records into the ERE folder as I can, which is where they store them all, in the F folder. So what I do is I do a 5-10 day notice to the judge, which is their rule. And then basically in that, I'll request basically a 14-day open record extension past the ALJ hearing. And then basically, I'll request the records, and that gives me a little bit of time for those records to go ahead and get them. Now, will the records always be in 14 days before? No, the records will not always be in 14 days before. Essentially what you run into is then you have to ask the judge for a bit more time. And usually you can squeak another 10 days out of them. Took me 9 months on first reply. I applied in September 2019. Yeah. So basically, and it's sad, guys. I don't know what to tell you, but we're dealing with the government. When you deal with the government can go at whatever speed it wants. And then when you add COVID into it, everything gets slowed down. So the people that applied right before February of 2020 into the latter parts of December and November and things like that of 2019, claims got slowed down. Just is what it is. Okay, so Lily, so you got your hearing coming up. That's good. I was denied at ALJ. My lawyer said judge only took 2 jobs into consideration that were medium duty, not light duty, as I was classified. So, okay, Eddie, you might have a potential option for appeals counsel review to do a remand for a vocational analysis, which would be good. But the AAJs could look at this thing and say, well, we still feel that basically, yada, yada, yada. But if they presented both medium and light jobs, and they did consider some light jobs, they're probably not going to remand it. Bonnie, yes, 9 months denied, then recon took 5 months, but was approved. That's good. Very good. The lawyer has all medical records, but I have doctor visits coming up, and can they see if you go? Okay, so here's the thing. And I guess I need to do a video on this. Let me write that down somewhere. Let me get my Millennial Falcon pen because I'm a child. What you need to know is this. It's a really nice pen. Check that out. Okay, what you need to know is this. When it comes to basically doctor's visits, and let me just write this down. Doctor visits, nobody can see. We'll do a video on that at some point. There's no magical system that exists. In criminal, penal situations, they have a magical system that has all of their information. Okay? All of their information. We can look it up. We can connect the systems, all that jazz. But for facilities that you go to, there is absolutely, thank you, I like the pen too. There is absolutely no special interconnected network system that tells the attorneys or the judges when you went to the doctor. It doesn't exist. It has never existed. It would violate your HIPAA rights. It would violate your protections for your privacy. Because all of a sudden, right now, we're telling who, what, when, and where you're going. Insurance companies would eat that up, and they'd never give you a rate. Okay. So let's see. Yeah, I know I got a couple of them around here, but basically it's pretty cool. It's, Millennium Falcon, yada, yada. And then the other one I got, I think Princess Leia's is sitting around here somewhere. This is, of course, the Luke Skywalker, but it's not, I don't, I got the other ones are back there too. Anyway, so bottom line, let's go next to this. Okay. David Miller, will applying for SS retirement affect the SSDI claim filed 7 months ago? No. Everybody filing for retirement that thinks they might be disabled should file for disability benefits so long as they are younger than their maximum benefit retirement year. So if you're turning 65, 66, 67, and that's your maximum benefit year, don't file for SSDI benefits. But if you think you're disabled and you're 62, 63, 64, file for disability SSDI benefits. Because if you get on SSDI benefits, the retirement reduction, like you took your retirement benefits, the retirement reduction going forward gets stalled. And now you're going to go ahead and get to take your SSDI benefits and ride those to full retirement, which means that you get to take a higher rate of retirement benefits once you reach your full retirement age. Okay, Lily the Great. So cool if it turned into lightsabers law. Yeah, I know. I mean, this one kind of, but it does the whole green thing and yada yada, and there's a lightsaber there, but All right, so let's go through this. I want to go through now. I'm going to type the number in there. If anybody wants to call for their upcoming hearing to run disability hearing questions, let me know. Sandoval, think claim evidence that was very strong. Never saw SSA doctor or spoke to any person, not one time from SSA ever. From SSA ever a lawyer said because they would say I would not be able to work. That's good. All right. So Sandoval, probably an approval, looks pretty good. Let's see what Cheyenne says. She said, you finally admitted law. I chimed in right at the right time. Thanks, buddy. All right, cool. Gotcha. I got a baby Yoda. Who doesn't have a baby Yoda? Honestly, I have a baby Shadow. He's a chubby little snuggle muffin. All right. So let's go through this. Will you still be able to be on Medicaid? Well, I mean, if you get on SSI, you're in Florida, you automatically get Medicaid. If you go on SSDI, you get 24 months and boom, you get Medicare. And then Biden's going to change it so you don't have to wait 24 months anymore. Let's go to the next thing on what President Biden is going to do to change Social Security disability benefits. So far we've covered he's going to increase SSI benefits. He's going to eliminate the 5-month SSDI waiting period. He's going to eliminate the 2-year waiting period for Medicare. Very good. President Biden is going to eliminate the benefit cliff for SSDI, which is probably the brilliant one of all of these. That's probably like the most long-term smart thing to do out of all of them. All of them are good, but that one's the best one. That one's actually going to save the country and helping get more workers out of the impaired. It's going to actually give disabled people a lot more functional use of not only their emotions, but their hands and going forward and working and creating work product. That's a good one. President Biden's next one. So we're going down the list. He's going to reform the SSI program. Oh, I like this one because SSI is always schnookered over married people. Reform the SSI program so that it doesn't limit beneficiaries' freedom to marry, save, or live where they choose. Okay, so let me read it again so that we got it, and then I'll go into it. Reform the SSI program so that it doesn't limit beneficiaries' freedom to marry, save, or live where they choose. Wow, for a couple, thank you. I really appreciate it. For a new pen, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Florida couple. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. That's amazing and awesome. Thank you. Guys, if you get a chance, if you could thank Florida couple, she just donated $10 for a new pen, which is amazing. I don't know if you guys can see the donation thingy in there, but that's really, really cool. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. That's really, really good. So I don't know if you guys know, but with SSI, here, let me pull up the amounts. SSI 2021 amount for married couple. You guys are going to love this. I don't know if you know this. It's one of those things. Let's see. Okay, so let's see. For married couple get, see, hold on, I got to find the actual amount. SSI federal payment amounts. Let's see if this website link has it. Sometimes it takes a little while. Eligible couple. Okay, cool. You guys are going to love this. So we know in 2021 that basically, and again, Florida couple, I really appreciate it. I mean, you don't have to do that, and that's really cool of you. That's really, really amazing. So guys, please, if you get a chance to thank Florida couple, that really is a good thing. So you guys are going to love this aspect of it. So Biden wants to get rid of a rule that was probably the worst rule in SSI history ever. I mean, it was a bad rule when they created it. It did not age well, and this rule just got worse as time went on. Let me tell you what it is. President Biden wants to get rid of the marriage limitation rule for SSI. So if you are a person that gets SSI benefits, you get $794 per month in 2021. But if you marry somebody, right? If you marry somebody, like two SSIs get married. So you got two SSIs that get married. You don't both get $794. You don't. They then reduce both of your benefits, okay? You're going to love this, to $1,191, okay? To $1,191. Now, if you divide that by 2, that means each person on SSI benefits in the couple gets $595.50. Why is that a stupid idea? If a person can barely live on the SSI minimum amount, why would you have 2 SSI people who get married? Why would you reduce both of their benefits? It's the dumbest rule in the world. Let me tell you why they did it. They did it back in the day because the idea was, when rent was cheaper, that if you have 2 people on SSI, they're sharing a lot of expenses, right? They're sharing food expenses, they're sharing living expenses, rent expenses, electricity, water, all that stuff. They're sharing expenses. Now, who knows whether it's gotten more expensive or not to live in America? Obviously, it has. Now, you got to have internet. You got to have Netflix and Disney Plus. I mean, that's just kind of like the basics at this point. You got to, water's more expensive. Electricity's more expensive based upon what the dollar's worth, cost of living adjustment. So it was always a bad idea. Pretty much since 30 years ago, it's been a bad idea to reduce SSI benefits for married people. You're basically taking $200 off of each person's disability benefits, which is mind-boggling. Why would you screw over an impoverished, disabled person? I mean, just think about that. Who are we picking on today? We're going to pick on an impoverished, disabled person who got married, lucky enough to find somebody to love. Lucky enough, right? And now we are going to take $200 away from their benefits and their loved ones' benefits, because we're going to show them as America how we love disabled people who find love. That's what we're doing. Biden's going to get rid of that. President Biden is going to actually get rid of that. I don't know why we've had this for so many years. It should have gotten rid of in the prior administration. Should have got rid of that in even Obama's administration. Should have happened. It should have happened. Wow. Lily, thank you, Darth Vader pen. I don't know if they make a Darth Vader pen. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. These are made by, let me see. Actually, I'm going to show you another pen that I have. This is the Leia pen. I'm a terrible person, but I like it because it's rose gold. This is made by Cross, and Cross makes amazing pens because the ink is super duper dark. Look how much darker that is than other pen ink. Look how dark that is. It's a super dark black ink. It's a jelly ink. It's just so smooth. It writes like incredibly well. But Lily, thank you so much. I don't even know if they have a Darth Vader pen. I'm going to look into that. These pens were actually a gift to me from a family member. And apparently I'm a real pain in the butt to get gifts for because I have really specific things that I look for in a gift. which is, are they a boat? If they're not, I don't want it. So that's usually what happens. So, but bottom line is, I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's amazing. Thank you so much. That's really, really cool. So Florida couple, please guys, thank Florida couple. Please guys, thank Lily the Great. Okay, so let me see if I missed any questions here. Chris D, is anything changing with regards to if other disabling conditions are found after being approved, will they be included, or will it still be only original conditions count? Okay, so here's the deal. They changed the rules on their consideration of all impairments a while ago. I mean, we're talking decades ago, to have to include all impairments. However, what they do is they'll include your new impairments. So let's say you apply a year later, you got a new impairment. You haven't been found disabled yet, but you apply a year later, you've got a new impairment. They'll include this, but if it's severe, they're going to expect you to amend your alleged onset date to the new severe impairment. And the reason why is that that's going to now push you over the top to be considered severely impaired. Ergo, you can't work a full-time job. Therefore, you're found disabled. Again, Lily, thank you so much for the $10 donation. And Florida couple, thank you as well for the $10 donation. That's really, really amazing. I appreciate it. Cheyenne's still giving me crap. Nods head figuratively. Okay, cool. I like that. That's a new word. All right. So let's see. Paul Joseph, very cool. Lily, thank you. Let's see. Styles, how we doing? Is there an algorithm that compares similar jobs given by the VE to see if they're using a pattern on claimants at hearing? No, I can tell you they're using a pattern. They all use the same. Okay, so guys, let me explain how this works when it comes to vocational experts. Even and Cheyenne's been in tons and tons of hearings, so she can go ahead and explain to you. Vocational experts have like 10 jobs that they always use and present for each category of the type of work, which is sedentary, light, medium, heavy, and very heavy. They've all got like 10 jobs per thing. And basically, they just, they're ready to go with those. They flip them out. They throw them out. We're ready. Here you go. Here you go. Now, the only time that they're not going to use one of those, and we'll be hearing a really weird one, is when the judge gives a really big hypothetical with a bunch of limitations, and then we hear them clicking away on their keyboard to try and figure out, okay, cool, what exists? And there is an algorithm. And I have that algorithm and I have that program, just like all these other people. In fact, the one I've been using more and more, though, is this one. I keep it on my phone. It's called Job Sleuth. It looks like this. And what it is, like, let's call like the most common one is marker, right? So I don't have the exact number of what marker. Here you go. Here's the one that they always use. Marker right there. Marker is basically, putting price tags on things. So they have these jobs that make it really easy to fit into the hypotheticals of the judges. They use them all the same ones all the time. If it's a weird hypothetical, they'll have to click around. And the way the program works, and I'll show you real quick, and keep in mind, this is the phone one. The phone one is not nearly as robust as the big one. The big one that they use here, I'll pull it up right now. It's right here. So the one that they use all the time is Dictionary of Occupational Titles. It's occupationalinfo.org. That's the one that a lot of people use all the time. Then they also have a specific program on their computer which allows them to go in and do advanced searches. And the advanced searches have all of these little thingies on them. Do they have any climbing restrictions, balancing restrictions, stooping restrictions, kneeling restrictions? And they just go, okay, the judge said, boop, 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 boop. I'm sorry, I'm not a good human being. And then basically they input that and whatever jobs are available pop up. I know a lot of you guys were like, well, wait a minute, I thought they were doing all this mathematical analysis. And there was, oh my God, it was just almost, no, it's just they press buttons and hit search. That's all they do. That's what they do with that. They have to consider other things involved with that. That's the real analytical part of it. But no, they search it like that. That's how they do it. So, okay, so let's see. Next one, Wolfgang. I sent in some medical documents yesterday. Awesome, like 500 pages. Yay, I get to read those. Okay, I meant given. Is there an algorithm that compares similar jobs given by the VE? Yeah, okay, cool. I'm not saying, okay, cool. Law, maybe monopoly money law. Okay, gotcha. 10% reapplied after partial favorable with no ongoing benefits. SSI is CHGO. I don't know what that means. Reapplied after partial favorable. Okay, so you got a partially favorable. with no ongoing. Wait, why would you reapply after a partially favorable? You would then appeal. I don't know. Dennis, give me more details. For a couple been done already. Wolfgang. Oh, wait a minute. I have to. There's one thing I've got to do here. There is. All right. Now, look. Somebody, I don't know who it was, but somebody sent me, and it was much more than this. It was actually much, much more than this. So if you know who the person is who sent me this amazing thing, there's all these dog thingies in here. There's all these amazing things. There was 2 treat bags, which were gone in a day because I don't raise my children correctly. There's just somebody sent me an amazing bag of all these dog items. And my dogs love it. I actually saved just the remaining amount because basically I wanted to make a video. I've never had I'm going to make a video. I'm putting it on top of my 2-foot pile right here. And you'll notice when I put this down, I don't have to put it down that far. That's how high the pile of paperwork is for Friday. That's how miserable I get to be through the rest of tomorrow and the weekend. All right. So I'm going to make a video about that. That's really important to me because somebody was kind enough to send me that. And I don't know if they're here right now, but if you are, please let me just say to you, thank you so much. My dogs really appreciate it. They're spoiled and they don't appreciate much, but that they appreciated. Okay. So let's see. Let me go through here. Let's see. Wolfgang, if I was to get partial favorable, do I get some for disability every month? Yeah, if you get partially favorable, they're just moving your alleged onset date. So unless they moved your alleged onset date to like right when you had your hearing or right after your hearing, then yeah, you'll have your back pay and you'll get your regular forward pay check. The forward pay check does not really get changed with a partially favorable. Only the amount of back pay and or retroactive benefits, if you're applying for SSDI, does that change, okay? Not with closed period. Okay, so let me go back. Dennis, reapplied after partial favorable with no ongoing benefits SSI. Not with closed. So you had a closed period claim. All right, so send me the full fact pattern, Dennis. I'll look at it. Send me an email with it, and then I'll shoot you back an email and go into detail with it. FaZe Browning, yo, howdy. Florida couple 20 need to be something no one else has ever sent. He'll call me out. Then I'll have a panic attack, laugh my ass. So for a couple, was that you? Was that you, the person who sent me that? Because that was amazing. You sent me the treats that they love, by the way, too, which are those, it's like the little orange bag ones. Sweetie actually bit a hole through that bag, and which is why still, based upon her age, she is considered a puppy, but she is a man-child dog. She is the chubbiest little piggy dog. I call her a Florida Husky. Like whatever. I had to pull her in before the reason I was late today was not the usual reason. The reason I was late today to do this live was because I couldn't get her out of the fish pond. It is freezing outside and she's just swimming around having a good time. So I really, really, really appreciate it because they absolutely love those. And that was incredible. Really incredible. Okay, let's see to the, yeah, I guess I think maybe it was to the PO box. I don't remember. It was a while ago. Let's see. Well, all the medical documents are coming to me. Do I just send them all to you? Yeah, Wolfgang. So what I did with the claim was I sent out high-tech directive letters that obviously were from you, signed by you, yada, yada. So they're all going to you. That way, when, if I sent them from me, I'd have to pay $200 for that one, $400 for that one, $150 for that one. And then I'd pass that cost on to you. You'd pay me back once found disabled. This way, they just send you your records, and they're like $5, no bucks, $10, whatever. And then basically at that point, I'll pay that now, and then you pay me back once you're found disabled. It'll be like $30, $40 as opposed to $400, $600, $800 for all your medical records, which were pretty substantial. Yeah, 13 doctors, exactly. Okay, so I'm going to put this phone number down one more time. Then I'm going to go through the rest of what Biden intends to do, and then I'm going to go ahead and head off to the place known as the USPS. All right. So I have a couple new initial filings I got to get off and yada, yada. All right. So what we went through the Mary thing. SSI benefits should not harm people who get married. It does right now. It reduces both of their benefits by around $200. Not fair. Taking $400 away from impoverished, poverty-based, disabled people. That's just so despicable. And we've done it for decades upon decades. That's how the system works. President Biden's going to get rid of that. That's really amazing. Absolutely, Wolfgang. So the next one I want to go into. All right. Now, this one's tricky. The next one we're going to go into is all about ABLE accounts. If you guys don't know what an ABLE account is An ABLE account is a savings account that the claimant and other people can put money into where it will not, basically affect your resource limit. All right, so a lot of people don't realize this, but when you're on SSI, if you save more than $2,000, that $2,001 puts you into not eligible for disability benefits mode, and that's not good. So what most people do is they go ahead and open what's called an ABLE account. An ABLE account is a savings account for disabled people who are looking to save money, right, but not have to worry about that resource limit. Now, ABLE accounts have their own limits. They're like 15 grand. You can't go over that. And there's another problem with it too. Here's the big problem. In some states, ABLE accounts, the states, when the person passes away, can tap into them and take money out of them, these savings accounts on behalf of the disabled person, and go ahead and basically from there, take money from them, the state, like Florida or this or that or whatever. They can take money for whatever costs they had to pay for that person's Medicaid. So you got to be careful with these ABLE accounts. If the person used up $15,000 worth of Medicaid, and then all of a sudden that person dies for whatever reason, the state can file a claim against that ABLE account and pull that $15,000 that claimant's mom put into the account. So you got to be careful with those. Biden intends to remove those restrictions. President Biden is going to go ahead and basically remove a lot of those restrictions from the $15,000 restriction. I mean, I'm just talking, he might do that, he might not, but if he's going by what he puts in here, and I'm giving you bullet points as to how he could do it, then that's how he would do it. He would remove that claim option for basically states to take money out of it. He would increase the $15,000 limit to maybe $30,000, maybe $40,000. I don't even know why it has a limit, to be honest. And I get the whole reason why, you don't want too much, and then they're not, and they're not an impoverished state, and yada, yada. I get that, but how many times is that going to happen? How many billionaires' kids are disabled on SSI? You know what I mean? It's just, and I get it, but it's, it's just not likely. And that's how this stuff is. They had to make it so that it, fit for every potential, and it's a lot of it doesn't make sense in the sense of what actually happens. Let's say if 1 out of 100,000 would take advantage of that, if they raised it to, 250,000 or no limit, who cares? That's 1 out of 100,000 people took advantage of it because their dad was a billionaire, or their mom was a millionaire, their mom was a trillionaire, whatever. Who cares? To me, it's not. Anyways, we'll go on to the next one. And the next provision is live where they choose. That one's too long to go into for this particular video because I'm going to pop out of here if nobody calls in the immediate. But I want to go into 28.5. President Biden is going to expand access to tax advantage state. Oh, that's the whole ABLE thing. We just went through the ABLE account. Cool. Next thing. Okay. 28.6 on the chart. Reverse damage done to Social Security rulings by the Trump administration. Okay. So the whole point here is that Trump put in, and it was really started by Obama, but they're going to throw it at Trump. They're going to light him on fire for this one. This rule that after 2 years, you can recommend and require that after 2 years of having a CDR, you could do another CDR, continuing disability review. Now look, this is, and that's the problem with some of these politicians is that they're trying to just beat up the prior politicians or play the game a little bit too much. I read this and I was like, come on, man. So let me explain to you how this works. You can get a CDR, a continuing disability review. So if you're found disabled, you can get a continuing disability review where they look to see if you're still disabled 1 year later, or 3 years later, or 7 years later, or 10 years later. But there wasn't a 2-year option by statute. Now, the judges, they didn't really mind that. They would just put down, within 24 months, please do a CDR review. Condition was likely to improve. So they were doing it anyways, right? They were doing it anyways. But the 2-year option didn't exist on the books. Trump then put the 2-year option into the books. But you got to think for a second, wait a minute. If the 1-year option for review already existed, couldn't they just do that 1-year option and then do that 1-year option again? Yeah, they could. So this was not something that was like an evil thing that Trump did. The option already existed. The option already existed and they were using it to do it 1 year out. So to now have you can do a CDR after 1 year, you can do a CDR after 2 years, you can do a CDR after 3 years, and he added the 2-year option. It didn't change anything. This is all the same thing. But let me read to you what he put in here. And this is the whole president's trying to beat points out of the other president. Reverse damage done to the Social Security rules by the Trump administration. President Trump announced that he wants to change the Social Security rules for people who get disability benefits, including SSI and SSDI. His proposed change would require many to re-verify their disability every 2 years, a tough enough process to get through once. Now, it wasn't a full re-verification. It was just a CDR. That's not, you have to file through the whole process and file the initial forms again. So here's like the whole Biden's kind of, throwing a punch, throwing a Conor McGregor at Trump when it really wasn't fair, necessary, any of that. But let's go through it. His proposed change will require many to re-verify the disability every 2 years, a tough enough process to get through once, targeting adults with disabilities who are close to retirement, children with disabilities, and people with certain medical conditions, including cancer and behavioral disorders. If approved by the Trump administration, Bob will rescind this offer. It doesn't matter. He was just trying to make points out of it. That one's not important. That one he should have left out, but he used it to try and make people all frothy in the mouth and against Trump, which is ironic because that whole thing was actually started back in the back in the Obama days. But you know how these guys do it. You know how they play the politics game. 28.7, strengthen the Social Security Administration, ensuring that Social Security benefits are easy to access and that field offices and now this is the most expensive one. If you guys are wondering, like the direct, quick, yada, yada. I mean, sure, raising the amount for SSI benefits, that's probably the most expensive. But this is the one that'll probably go through that'll be the most expensive, the fastest. Ensuring that Social Security benefits are easy to access and that field offices and teleservice centers are fully funded is key to our bedrock commitment to seniors and people with disabilities. Cutting Social Security services will only hurt the most vulnerable in our communities. Biden will provide sufficient resources for staffing needs to meet the needs of beneficiaries today and into the future. All right, so here's what he's doing, just so you guys know. The whole reasoning behind this is that the Social Security Administration keeps making moves to slowly get rid of field offices and go to national hearing centers or national call centers so that they don't have to pay for all of these judges spread out all over the place that basically have to go to these offices that are mini hearing locations to do all these hearings. It's very expensive. What they would like to do, which is absolutely horrifying, is get rid of those regional, and I believe that they're trying to do this. It's in my opinion. But what I believe they're trying to do, and many people, including judges, have inference that this is where it's going, is that essentially they're trying to get rid of local regional offices for the OHO hearing offices. And what will then happen at that point is they will go ahead and basically just have one mega building where they have all of the judges sitting in different rooms. Or, now that we have all this Zoom software, just have the judges at home set up a room in their home to go ahead and basically be a hearing room. And you will go before a judge, no longer in person. They will be National Hearing Center teleconference hearings. Okay, so then you get into the whole rights issue. When you have the right to appear before a judge, does that mean you have the right to appear before them on a television screen or physically in person? Biden is saying he is not going to allow them to transition into just a giant national hearing center, NHC. Okay, he's saying we're going to keep our regional offices because it's important for people to be able to get to them, including our disabled and our elderly. Is that the right choice? I think it is. I think it's the ethical choice, and I think it's the moral choice, but I also think it's the expensive choice. But I think it is the right choice to do. I really do. All right, guys, let me check something real quick here. I'm going to go through some of these questions. Nobody's called in, or if they did, I'm sorry if I missed it. I've been talking. Cool. All right, let's look through and see if there's anything that I missed. Bet my Deafy dog, Lily, is fatter. I don't know. Sweetie's pretty chubby. She lives in the kitchen. She's on the couch. She's in the kitchen. Then she's outside trying to eat the squirrels. She can't even teach. The itch, blah, blah, blah. Okay, good. Oh, cute. Let's see, Wolfgang. What if you just get your money out every month at the ATM and don't leave any money in it? Will they still? No, the SSA would have no way of finding what you did with the money. If you withdrew it, the expectation is that you spent it, that you don't have it under your bed or your mattress or your My Pillow. That guy's in the news a lot, or any of that stuff. Lily the Great, does food stamps count toward income? No. Dennis Pedretti, so Joe Biden will let you get married on SSI. Cool. Well, you can get married on SSI already, but the way it is if you get married on SSI to another person on SSI, they reduce your payments so that both people together only get around $1,191, which basically reduces, essentially what the person is getting down from $794 down to just $595.50, which means married people who are disabled, who are poor, are getting screwed. Let's see. Styles. Was it smart to mention the grid rules and the blue book listings on my new claim I filed? I was hoping the state examiner really studied the medical records more. Look, DDS, the higher up DDS reps that have a lot of seniority, they know what the grid rules are. Most of the newer people, and there's a lot of new people in DDS I'm talking with and I'm interacting with, they don't know how the grid rules work. So it's good that you listed them, but just be aware that's what's going on. Silent Universal Dreamer. I'm good, Jay. Happy to see you there. Such a bright light. Treating well. Have a good night. Good night, good sir. Let's see. Oh my gosh, a million things that just popped up. All right, here we go. Bonnie Snyder. Do reviews come up if you are 57, 1 year after being approved as a 55th birthday? You are right in the potential danger zone at 57 years old. Most likely you will get one CDR, and then that'll be it for the rest of your life. You'll ride that until basically you hit full retirement. Or depending on your impairments, if they're not likely to be things that are going to get better, then they won't waste the time and the money to do what's called a CDR, 8-step review. Instead of doing the 5 elements of disability, a CDR uses 8 elements, the 8-step sequential process. Go look it up. It's important to know. You can also call them and ask them if you are set up for a CDR, or look at the brief that the judge put out. At the very end of it, the judge probably wrote whether or not you're expected to improve, and therefore CDR is warranted. Florida couple 2011. I'm so blessed for my family, but I just hate to go into public. I'll always get in an argument with someone. I got let go from my job 10 plus years because I got into it with him, the owner. Yeah, it happens. It definitely does happen. Let's see. Yes, GC does fine. Most attorneys do in their opening if they qualify for listing or griddings. Yeah, I mean, we all kind of reference whether or not there's a particular gridding or listing you're going to fall into in our opening statements. Time and money is needed now. Okay, so let's see. Yes. Disability good. Thank you for the 7 stars. I super appreciate it. So basically with SSI, here's the deal. The federal statutes limit you so that you can't make more than the SGA, which is like $1,300. So you can't make more than that. $65 don't count of the first $65 you earn, and then another $20 don't count. So $85 do not count of the first, so you can earn $85 and it doesn't count against you for SSI. But for every $2 you earn above that, they take away $1. So what you're running into is she can earn more, but they're going to start taking away your benefits. And that's the game you play. So that's kind of the bottom line. All right. So guys, I've gone through a bunch of details. I'm going to give you a little outro. If anybody wants to call in right now, that's fine. We've been live for about 1 hour and 12 minutes. Here's the deal. If you get a chance, if you could go ahead and basically leave a 5-star review. If you have already, that's amazing. And I really appreciate it. A 5-star review on Avo, you just search Walter Knott, or on Google, you just search disability resolution. If you could leave a 5-star review, I really appreciate it. Other than that, if you want to catch up with me, shoot me an email, give me a call. I am going to be doing a much larger video on the Biden stuff. I did do one. I tried to upload it. It took too long. I'll do it after this live. Also, the Space Constitution trailer, the trailer I've been working on forever because I get a little bit of time every night, and I usually work on that at like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. as my final thing. But that trailer is finally almost done. And I'm really excited because that's kind of part of the whole launch thing of it. So that was like the main thing to actually launch it. So when it comes out, I'll probably show you guys through the live session. And then while I'm on the live session here, I'll click the go button and it will go ahead and get uploaded and published while we're actually doing this. So it would be kind of a significant moment in the history of spaceconstitution.com, the first open source constitution. Guys, have a wonderful night. I will catch you a little bit later. And if you have any questions, don't be afraid to shoot me an email. And then we can always catch up and run more hearing questions as a part of this whole live show and go from there. Have a wonderful night. Thank you so much. And we'll catch up later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.